Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and if you've been paying attention to what Nintendo's been doing, you probably saw the whole thing. Yeah, well, they've finally come out with some new information about this thing that they're calling the Ring-Con and the leg strap. The latter one is really original. They've released a load of information about it, as well as a video, which I'm going to be discussing sort of the game in general as a whole. But first, I think the more important thing, and the thing that they seem to gloss over massively in the video, is the fact that Nintendo somehow have managed to perfect synthetic humans, which is amazing. There we go, that's better, isn't it? That's a wallpaper. So yeah, let's talk very briefly about the way in which Nintendo presented this new information. They used a video, much like I'm using now, however they used what can only be described as the most cardboard and wooden presenters I've ever seen. I mean, no offense to them personally, I'm sure they're lovely people, but good lord, that performance was, well, without wishing to sound too broad and generalized, but from my perspective and from the perspective of, I'm guessing, the entire rest of the world, it's very American.
It's an adventure game first and foremost, but you'll actually be moving your body. You might even break a sweat while playing.
Awful. It's terrible. It's so cheesy, so sort of trying to appeal to as broad a demographic as possible, which makes sense given what the thing is. And I absolutely love it as a result. It's so bad. Like, if you haven't seen it, pause this video. Don't navigate away, but we'll have a link in the description. Open up a new tab, watch it. You'll thank me later. Well, by now you're either back, you can't be bothered to watch the video, or you've already seen it. Either way. Pow! So let's talk about the actual thing itself. The thing it was advertising. I forgot what it's called. It's called Ring Fit Adventure. And if you hadn't guessed from seeing the previous video or the stuff that I've been no doubt splicing in, or this cheeky grin right here, it is a fitness game for the Nintendo Switch. But whilst things like Wii Fit have tried to be, you know, sort of, this is a fitness program, do the fitness, and your reward is a slightly animated Wii Fit balance board. This time around, they're kind of trying to make it more like a game, you know, an actual game for a game system. Just insane, just absolutely out there. You use the Ring-Con, which isn't on the screen anymore. Should I change it back? Nah. So the Joy-Con like slides into this big ring controller thing, which I believe actually has some gubbins inside it. It's got like sensors so it can feel how you're moving it and stuff like that, rather than just relying on just the Joy-Con itself. However, it connects wirelessly through the Joy-Con. The other one, however, you put it in the leg strap and you slap it onto your leg like that, right up to your thigh, and then everyone starts to question why it's so high up on the thigh. Like, could you not have programmed it to be a little lower down? That's a little close for some people. And then you can use the controller, you run around, like run on the spot, and you squeeze around, and you do all these fitness things, and it looks, you know, sort of the exercises themselves look pretty much as you'd expect, to be honest. But I must say, I was actually impressed with how they managed to incorporate an actual game into it. So you run around this big overworld and you run by running, and then you got the ring in your hand and it's like some sort of powerful thing in the game, and you squeeze it together and then it goes whoop-ow, and it shoots out like a gust of wind, and you can use that to collect collectibles. I don't think you actually have any control over where you go, it's just kind of a straight path. But even so, I've got to admit, it looks pretty nice, just like visually. Looks pretty good. And then you've got the actual exercise bits, which is where you basically go into like these battles. You like actual turn-based battles, like, I suppose kind of like Pokemon or something. And it didn't seem to explicitly say it, but I think you actually get to choose what exercise you do. Not entirely sure about that, but you know, it's possible, and that is essentially your attack. So you basically, you go like, you got to do like, I don't know, 5 of them, wah, 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 wah. And depending on how well you do them, depends, you know, it changes how good your attack is, which is actually, it's actually pretty cool, you know? I mean, I don't think it's going to be the next Breath of the Wild, but it's pretty cool. And different enemies have different types, and your moves have different types as well. So like yoga poses are one type, and then there's like some other ones, and I really can't remember the finer details because I've only seen it once, and I thought I'd better dive right in before Game Explain beats me again. And you go through, and there's like a big bad boss at the end, and he's like some sort of fitness boss. It's completely ridiculous, but you know what? It's kind of wonderful at the same time for just how outlandish and just how ridiculous the concept is. It's like, hey, we need a fitness game, emphasis on the game, and then they came up with this. I am pretty impressed, genuinely. Like, genuinely. It also looks like there's actually been some real care and thought and stuff put into the, you know, the finer points of the game. Like, it's, you know, I don't quite know how the controller works. As I said before, I imagine there must be sensors in there. It can't just be the Joy-Con, but the Joy-Con helps as well. And it seems to know where it is, you know, position-wise, kind of like motion controls. It looks genuinely really, really impressive little bit of kit, to be honest. And I don't know whether they're going to use it in any, like, I hate to use the word, but proper games, but they could do. Honestly, the controller actually looks, it looks pretty tasty. And the fact that it's using the Joy-Con as well and one of the, like, leg strap things, like, they could have made, you know, an entirely new peripheral, but no, they decided to go with a whole sort of detachable Joy-Con thing, which does actually have some disadvantages as well, which I'll talk about now. So as good as it is to be incorporating something that you already own and therefore reduced cost of, you know, the actual new peripheral type thing, because at the end of the day, you know, some of it's being done by the Joy-Con. That's a sensible thing to do. There is one downside though, and that's how is this going to work with the Switch Lite? You're gonna have to buy some Joy-Con, surely. I mean, unless they release a different version where you don't need the Joy-Con, but that kind of seems completely redundant. I mean, the Switch Lite, it is sort of, it really does feel like a proper light version of the Switch rather than like the DS Lite, which was just like a smaller, slimmer, but exactly the same version, but with a slightly dumpy GBA slot. But there was one other thing, one little thing that really, really caught my attention, and it goes back to when I was trying, I think it was Wii Fit U, I was trying to get a little bit more exercise in my life, but without actually having to, you know, leave the room that I lived, worked, and recreated in, because that's what happens when you spend that amount of time in one room. So I thought, okay, Wii Fit U, I got a Wii balance board that I got for £2.50 at HMV just before it closed down in my university town. Let's do it, baby! Let's do some of the Wii Fit. And, you know, it was alright, I did it for like a week, but I had to stop. Why? You're in a room and you want to do some exercise, fair enough. So you stand up, you get out of shot, it's no problem, but I can't really move the chair because otherwise the rugs will move. But let's just say you're in a room and so you want to do some fitness stuff and it requires you to sort of run on the spot. Okay, no problem. Let's do that, baby. Look what's happening to my monitors and I'm just right next to it. I mean, I'm actually running on what is quite a nice carpet and some IKEA rugs, so this doesn't really help.
That's no problem.
But mate, if you're running around like this, I mean, obviously I would just be standing in one place, but that is noisy, baby. And I mean, maybe not for me in this room here right now, and maybe not for you. But for the people downstairs, I'm on the first floor, mate. If someone else was in this house right now, I could be mildly irritating them. And that's just not good. And you know what? They thought of that as well. Which is, I genuinely thought it was just an issue that only I've ever had, and everyone else just got on with their lives or did real exercise. There's actually like a silent mode where you don't really have to properly run on the spot, but you kind of do just a little bit, and you know what? That's tasty. That is a nice little attention to detail right there. Do I think this game is going to take the world by storm and make everyone rush out who doesn't already have a Switch and go, I must buy a Switch so that I can shake off these excess flabby bits up here? No, but I do think it's actually kind of cool what they've done. They've taken the idea of a fitness sort of application essentially, which clearly there's a big market for. I mean, Wii Fit was massively, massively popular. And Wii Fit U, it didn't work, but they tried. Oh dear, I didn't zoom the camera back in. And they've actually made it into like a proper little game. And well, I say little game, it looks relatively substantial We don't know obviously how long it's going to take or, whether it is actually substantial in the slightest, but, it looks like they've actually put some time, care, and effort into it rather than just making it an application. They've made it a game, and I think that may be due to the fact that gaming just as a whole is absolutely chuffing massive at the moment, and if you can make anything look more like a game, it's more appealing. So if your mum is looking for something to get fit and it looks like a video game, she's probably more likely to do it. Trust me. I'm actually pretty curious to get my hands on it now. I don't know whether it's going to be a kind of labo situation where people go, yeah, this is great, but then it's already over by the time that it starts. But we'll have to wait and see. All I know is it looks a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be proper rubbish, but actually, it's not bad. But what do you think of Ring Fit Adventure for the Switch? Do you think it's an absolute waste of time, or do you want to smile as much as this guy right here? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you squeeze that subscribe button just a little bit to make sure you get your fitness for the day, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. But what do you think of Ring Fit Adventure for the Nintendo Wii?